Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
The mission is very clear: to convert passionate people's dreams into their profession. We are offering 20 paid internships, 5 with Sporjo and 5 each with 3 other partner companies of ours.
Hi guys, and welcome to this fresh new series we are doing with the absolute CXOs on their journey, and we are trying to boil it down to that one singular passion that they follow, which differentiates them from so many others who come from similar educational and societal backgrounds. One of the big passions that we have as young people, as children, as teenagers as well, is sports. We want to be associated with all those amazing feats that we see on TV, where brave men and women go to the very edge of their ability to excel. It is our first essential introduction to excellence. We thus begin this series with 4 videos on different CXOs in different areas of sports management. They have all transformed their childhood dreams of being somewhere in the space of sports into a commercial reality today, where they've got success and they've got a chance to follow their passion. So without further ado, I want to introduce the first CEO that we are talking to, and that is Srinivvasan G, who has worked in probably every top company in the Indian sports management scene, whether it is ESPN Star Sports or Nike or BCCI or ISL. He's worked with all of them. His last job was actually with Reliance Sports before he decided to become an entrepreneur in this field itself. So we're going to talk to him about his journey, how he's done so many interesting things, and what is he doing now, most importantly. How is he going to help through his startup all the young people around us who dream of becoming an Arsene Wenger or a Harsha Bhogle or a Jerry Maguire one day. So let's begin. Srinivasan, the first question obviously is about your initial days. Fresh out of campus, you started your career in advertising and you moved to sports afterwards. How was the career transition from advertising to sports?
There was not much clarity in the jobs in sports space. So after campus, I moved to my second love, which is advertising. I guess the only highlights of my first jobs were winning a media cricket tournament with our agency and doing an ad for LG, which wished India for the 1999 World Cup. After that, I moved to Muscat and working in an ad agency there. And after about 2.5 years, I was like, okay, what do I want to do with life now? So and I started writing stuff. And the first 5 things I wrote were sports. So the decision was made. It was very, very clear. I came back to India without a job. At that time, there were, as I mentioned, only a very few companies. There was Cricinfo, there was ESPN Star, and maybe just another handful. I applied to all of them. And I got a job with ESPN Star 6 months later. The most important thing was patience. And I waited for the right opportunity at the right time.
Srini, when you look at someone's career over a period of time, when I look at yours, especially in the realm of sports, you've been at the right place at the right time at several places. In a variety of organizations, you've done work which has been their most famous work or most prominent work. So take me through that journey.
In a journey of 20 years, it's very difficult to pinpoint just some instances out. But I guess the ones that sort of stay with you are the ones that, have actually meant or made a difference to somebody's life. The Nike traffic jam ad, which was made before the 2007 World Cup, was, I think, pretty much my finest piece of work. But it didn't work very well for India because India crashed out of the World Cup immediately, right? Lots of times when I've sat in meetings 13 years after that day, lots of people ask me, we're going to make this ad like the Nike ad. Have you seen it? I just nod my head and say, yes, I have. And I guess the redemption was 2011 when I worked on the Bleed Blue campaign. And India won the World Cup. These two sort of stand, high on the list. Also, I worked on the IPL brand. The brand campaigns in 2012 and 13 still sort of are rated as pretty much the best work that BCCI has done. And of course, ISL, right from building football to building heroes to regional communications. I built my proficiency at every level. So in ESPN, after marketing, I worked on something called the Premier Hockey League, which was incidentally India's first intercity sports event. It failed on pretty much every aspect, but the learning was immense. Right from organization to sales to execution. When I was in Nike, I was in marketing, I was handling the brand. But I opted for another role, which was of the football business leader. which helped me later in ISL. You get to understand the intricacies of what goes behind club football, merchandise, commercials, etc. And then I joined BCCI. I was heading sales and sponsorships for BCCI. So sponsorships was a very, very new field for me. And everyone thinks, oh, you work in IPL, so sponsorships will be very, very easy. But if you have to get those few $1 million price points, it can actually be quite a tough one. Last but not the least is ISL. My son is 8 years old, my daughter is 5 years old, and ISL is 6 years old. So I consider ISL my third child. Because, when you were, especially when you were involved from the stage when it was just a PPT on your computer and an Excel sheet, you feel really happy seeing the level it has reached. At each stage, I kept on adding to my proficiency. At every job, I tried to learn something new. And that sort of helped me and has got me to a stage where I can confidently launch Sporjo.
At the end of the day, sales is sales and marketing is marketing, and operations is operations. That's what you learn in a business school as well. So why only stay with sports for such a long time? I mean, you had transferable skills. There are other industries that are a lot more attractive. It's not like you're doing and living your passion for sports on a day-to-day basis when you are selling ad space for IPL, for example, right? So why stay on in sports itself and limit your options?
There's one difference between working in sports and other industries, which I learned over the first 4 years of my life in advertising. You make an ad for a car or you make an ad for football. It's very different. Trust me. It's because there is an element of emotion involved. That emotion does not come naturally to any other product other than sports. If I follow Manchester United or Arsenal or Chelsea or Mumbai City FC, there is an element of emotion involved in that. I'll be far more positively disposed to discussing or even working on that. Work does not seem like work at that point in time. You might work as many hours as possible, but trust me, it doesn't seem like work.
The sports industry is also changing and COVID has impacted it tremendously. So what are some of the trends that you are seeing emerging? Because that's where the genesis of Sporjo comes in as well. So I wanted to understand that from you.
Let's take a step back. The sports industry has evolved quite a lot, right? In India especially. But the hiring sort of still needs to catch up.
Right.
The process of getting a job or entering sports still is pretty challenging here in India and needs to be streamlined. As from Sporjo's perspective, you ask a candidate, what do you want to sort of do in sports? Yeah, they say anything. That's not the answer, right? Because they don't have awareness of what the roles are and what the expectations from those roles are. That leaves an even little chance of figuring out what the challenges facing the industry are. Ask an employer the same question, and they'll also have a long list of complaints saying that there's long lead time, we can't find the right people, we can't reach people. There's a limited talent pool and we can't train them.
Right.
And like you mentioned, some sports have started. It's going to be really difficult for players to focus because they are sort of adjusting to the new normal. And when you see, I was seeing the England West Indies test match, and when this guy hit a couple of boundaries consecutively, there's nobody clapping.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So how do you sort of motivate yourself to come to that level? But life has to go on. At least sports starting has shown that it's a sign of positivity more than anything else, right? And as far as COVID is concerned, there would be a reduction in certain types of jobs, but there would be an increase in certain types of other jobs as well. For example, you may not need that many security people to work because there are no crowds. However, you might need a lot of health and safety professionals to manage these biosecure bubbles, as we call them. You might not have operations people at the venue, but you might have people working in digital remotely. Yeah, you might not have fan engagement at the venue, but you might have fan engagement on TV and digital, which were not leveraged earlier. So yes, there might be a drop in terms of some jobs, but some other new jobs will definitely come up.
Let's come to Sporjo now, Srini. What is the genesis of Sporjo to begin with? What is the reason for a company like Sporjo to exist?
Just a little while back, I was speaking to one of my mentors, to whom I went in 1997. He used to work for IMG at that time. And come to think of it, the last job of mine before starting Sporjo was leading that company. So life does sort of come a full circle. And he was asking me the same question, why Sporjo and why now? And I told him, I came to you and you sort of showed me the direction, right, at that point in time. If there was something like Sporjo, you wouldn't have had to even bat an eyelid. Life would have been far more simpler, right, with the process that we have. So Sporjo is a platform for people who want to convert their passion to their profession, and create a meritocratic pathway for themselves in the industry. Right now, if you see people say, I watch a lot of sports. I know all the players. I know all the stats. I've played sports for my state, or I've done sports management from a college outside India, so I should easily walk into any company in the industry. That's not the case, right? It doesn't happen like that. What also needs to be built with this is a certain level of personality and a certain level of proficiency. What Sporjo also aims to do is create a community and ensure that there is meaningful exchange between the candidates and the employee and the eventual employers. Sporjo is also not about just finding a job in sports. Yeah, it's about helping you navigate for a career in the industry. India is sort of aiming to become a sporting powerhouse and hosting a lot of World Cups in events other than cricket. Therefore, there needs to be a skilled workforce in India to manage these events as well, right? So that's one of our key things, that we need to create an ecosystem of at least 500,000 qualified professionals in the next 10 years. Also, you asked me who's Sporjo for. Sporjo is for everyone, interns to mid-management people to CEOs. It's for anyone who wants to convert their passion to their profession.
Srini, if I am a final year graduation student and I log on to Sporjo and I'm interested in sports and a career in sports, now what is the journey I will undertake once I enter your website?
Step one is registration to be part of the community. We collect a lot of information. What that does is the information that we collect will be fed back to the employers, which is rich, meaningful, and relevant. After you fill your information, you come to take the test, right? The test is divided into 3 parts: passion, personality, and proficiency. At the end of the test, you will have something called a sports score, which is your result. The next step is what we call Sport Consult, which is consulting with an industry expert who's been there, done that for about 10 to 12 years. They will analyze your sports score. And also people need someone to talk to, saying that, this is what I have, this is the field that I'm interested in. What do you think we should do, etc. And they will guide them as per what their scores are, what their skills are, what their strengths are, and the information that they have filled in initially. The next part is Sport Prep, which is divided into 2 parts. Online content modules and a real life project. The first part is online content modules, which is like a masterclass, 3-minute modules into 15-20, depending on how much is there in the vertical. Take, for example, you work in an FMCG in social media and you're crazy about sports, say football. Just because you know social media and you know football, you can't just walk into the sports industry, because the same job will be very different for a club, for a league, for a federation, for a brand, or for a company involved in grassroots. The next step is a real life business project, which is with partner companies. For example, this could be, how do you put bums on seats for a local sports franchise? Or how do you market a 12-year-old chess prodigy? Yeah, what these two will do together is, basis the modules, they would have done a lot of research in what's happening around them and key things to sort of watch out for. And on the project, they will implement it. They will put their learnings to use. Okay? This will be under the aegis of a partner company. If you're in athlete representation, one company, or if you're in operations, another company. And all of them are free to set their own KPIs. All this is collected in our database. And once an employer briefs us, we can generate a list in practically minutes to say which of these people are likely to succeed in a company like yours. So instead of just putting people who are passionate about sports in front of employers, what we do is create an entire pathway for someone who's probably at least 15% job ready when they come in front of an employer.
Srini, I am a final year graduate who's just finished his education, and I am very passionate about sports and I want to start off my career in sports. Now, because of the COVID situation, I am anyway not getting jobs. How can Sporjo help me at this point of time?
The mission is very clear: to convert passionate people's dreams into their profession. Yeah, something that they emote well with, something that they love. We are offering 20 paid internships, 5 with Sporjo, and 5 each with 3 other partner companies of ours. All these partnerships will be remote, considering the current situation. And what will happen is after all these people have taken the test, they get consulting for free. They do the online course modules for free and do the project for free. At the end, they also get paid 20,000 rupees to do the project. So they filled in their information, they've taken the test, they've done the online course modules, and they have done the project, right? It'll make them, a far more complete product at the end of their internship. If some of them are good, they might actually be hired in those companies. And otherwise, they're all coming through Sporjo, whose job is to convert people's passion to profession. And we'll open up whatever jobs are available at that point in time.
All right, Srini, thanks a lot for doing this with us. I hope Sporjo spawns an entire generation of Harsha Bhogles and Jerry Maguires and Arsene Wengers of the world. Wishing you all the best for a very noble cause that you guys are undertaking. Looking forward to meeting the other CEOs also that we will be speaking to you who are helping with these internships. Thank you so much, Srini, for doing this with us.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much.